like porting back behind them and just completely remaining undetected. Now, here's something I do like. Even though we saw that big play from Hip as the Reyna, I like the Raze play. It's something I think that he plays quite well, and we saw him play it yesterday to a T, so I would like to see him play it more.
On the opposite side, there's something that I don't see, and it's a lack of reach. So maybe we'll see once we have a look at Scream what he ends up playing. Maybe Scream's on the Omen. Maybe he wants to get a little spicy here. So the agent selection a little different here for fish123, but it is of course them on the defensive side and NIP starting us off on attack. And quite honestly, I think NIP preferred the attack side to start off.
It's actually Suede against Suede, so it's all Suedes all the time. 24/7
Saoulcas
Suede.
on Sage?
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit interesting. I want to make sure that these are all lined up appropriately. It does look like they're going to be moving in, but the nade keeps them at bay for the time being. It looks like that's actually Scream. Yes, Scream's playing the Sage, so it's a throwback. Scream going back to the Sage, somewhere that he felt very comfortable in the early stages of the game. We do have a bit of a little bug here going on. Not sure what that is. That's a first. But it will be fish123 taking the pistol round after NIP gains site control. Fish123 get back in with ease, and all 5 players will survive. It will be a flawless pistol round victory.
So now my question becomes, Link usually plays the Sage, so what is Link playing now? We'll have to see at the scoreboard what the actual agent assignments are, but that's very interesting.
I'm going to guess he's the Raze.
Saoulcas usually plays the Raze, though. Maybe he's the Sova. Yep, Link on the Sova.
Interesting. So Saoulcas swapped from Sova to Raze. Link swapped from Sage to Sova. Scream swapped from Phoenix to Sage. And Eccles and Kryptix just stay in their comfortability.
Yeah. I guess they heard the desk. The Sova wasn't working for Saoulcas, and so give it to the hands of somebody else. We'll see if Link knows the lineups and the preparation for Sova, but looking at the round ahead, it is Nip that decides to push in towards B, and they don't spend any time waiting at all. But fortunately for the defense, they'll find 2. luckeRRR will be able to trade it away, but it won't last very long as Eccles will just tap away with the Ghost and put another round on the docket here for fish123. NIP, of course, will have their gun round, and this is the round that we've been waiting for after the loss of the pistol for them. I think in a case where you are down and out and you lose the pistol and you lose that SMG round, I think for NIP, they just wanted to get it over. Push together, make it crazy. If they find frags, great. If they don't, whatever. Let's go on to that gun round, and let's actually start doing some damage to fish123.
5th time's the charm on the boost. Just kidding, never mind. They wanted to put Scream up on top of the APC, couldn't quite get the boost working out for them, so as a result, they'll just be moving over towards a more standard position. The Boombot goes in, gives away Kryptix position, so they already know he's here. Has to go ahead and get out of position there using the Cyber Cage. Recon Bolt's also going to give away his position from the Owl drone. This man just can't catch a break as he goes for the escape. There's the push onto the site. Great shot coming out from Eccles on the operator right to the dome of CREA. So that'll be the other Omen going down. Dark cover going into the window to get him a better position. Heal comes out, but kind of felt almost unnecessary. He was still pretty high on HP. But they pop it regardless. There's one right in that corner. Just do it. Shoot. Doesn't pull the trigger. Hip's going to back off here, and it will be a 4-on-4 with about 45 seconds left.
They've changed their sights over towards A. Saoulcas trying to get Scream trying to get some range with the Bulldog. He'll get quickly traded away. And now, of course, Saoulcas on the Raze. Have to get those names changed. I think we'll get that fixed shortly. And they reposition over towards B. This back and forth for the side of NIP has proven to be fruitful now because they'll get that spike down. And for the side of the defense, it's the 3-on-3, and they'll push in from the same angle together. We'll see how NIP are able to deal with this because they need this round. Hip playing close left. And they'll start to funnel in. We've seen them not check their corners before. This time they will. Hip will be the one that falls down to the 2v3. Link now pushing forward, but unfortunately he's only got a Spectre to work with. And I think that was... No, that's the operator for for Eccles. He was carrying into the Ghost. Ryan finds one. Unfortunately, the corner not going to bode well for him. And figure out the last to fall. 3 straight here for fish123, and that means that they could really start laying on these rounds, considering the potential pistol coming forward for NIP. But truth be told, we saw this on Haven, how fish123 got a great start, and NIP just woke up and really turned on the pressure.
Here's the thing. I know a lot of fans were probably freaking out when they saw Scream playing the Sage. They're like, all right, back to his roots, back to the beta stages. He's going to pop off now. I don't think Scream played poorly as the Breach at all. I thought he played great as the Breach. I don't think it's the Sage that makes Scream good. It's Scream that makes the Sage good. You know, so I like seeing him play the Sage because it is like nice to see that flashback to the early stages of his play. But at the same point in time, I really do feel like the Breach was working out. I'm curious why that was the switch, because they mentioned on the desk he was talking about wanting to play the Reyna, which we saw him play for a short period of time there before switching over to the Breach. But he opts not to do it here on Bind, and part of that is just that, you know, on Bind, Reyna isn't necessarily super viable. It's like very map-specific pick. Not necessarily as bad as Viper, where it's like, oh, there's only really like one map you ever want to see a Viper on. But still, it's just an interesting juggle of roles and positions going back to a different agent composition that we've seen from fish123 going back a bit.
I forget who said this yesterday, but they envisioned a world where every player could play like 5 agents, and you're just constantly switching between them for whatever scenario or whatever execute. I think it was Force's coach. I think the desk was talking about how he wants every player to play a variety of agents to make it very interesting. And you might see a future like that, but the game's so early, very difficult to learn everything and be the best at everything. So an interesting strategy here from Eccles as he gets his way, or sorry, from CREA. We've seen him do that before. He hops on up, but it hasn't really worked out so far. As the time is starting to tick down and the defense have just dismantled the opposition, trying to push forward. Fearoth now having to escape. But of course it is... Wait a minute. Oh, so close. I don't think he's got time, though.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. I mean, he was like maybe 0.2 away, so close, but not close enough. Unfortunately, he ran through that port as fast as he could and tried to escape. Great start to this second map for fish123. Although we kind of saw a similar thing, with the exception of losing the pistol in the second round. fish123 got off to a great run in that first map. Right now, CREA and Hip, who played really well in that first series, more specifically in that second half, not off to a great start. 0-4, neither one really doing much early on, but that'll turn around. You saw CREA try to get behind enemy lines, ported into his dark cover on top of double stack, started spraying away at the target on site, thought for sure he was going to pick up the kill. They couldn't quite find out his position, goes for the port pack into the back of site, and also didn't really result in much. Hip just sprays through the wall onto EC1S Eccles, so Eccles right around that corner, trying to hold the line with the operator, and Eccles gets taken out before he even sees anything. Great awareness coming in from Hip.
This is, of course, the gun round for NIP, so an important one for them to win. Shots from Scream will land onto CREA, but the operator will sing. Unfortunately, will not find its mark. It's Hip, the Vandal, that'll get the job done. Resurrection onto CREA puts them back into the mix on the opposite side of the Saoulcas that is trying to hightail it, or at least look for an opportunity to push on over, as the defense are starting to fall apart one at a time. Just down to Link now on the Sova. And as they will push forward, he's going to look for one, but unfortunately cannot trace the spray well enough onto CREA. Spike going down. It's Saoulcas, not Scream, on the raise. That is just going to hold on to that weapon. And a round finally on the board for NIP. And quite honestly, we saw this in the previous map. They won the pistol. They won the second round. And then since then, fish123 just found 6 straight. It was 6-2 at one point, and we might see the same thing here. Unfortunately, they did lose the pistol. They did lose the SMG, but this is the beginning of what we saw on Haven.
Yeah, I mean, they lost the pistol, they lost the eco, they lost the first buy, they lost the following pistol armor. It's not really a surprise there that those rounds didn't work out so well for them. Again, we talked about it. Round 5 is often the turning point. This was the same case for Counter-Strike. If you go back a ways, when the economy was different back in the game, going back to maybe earlier, more simple times for the game in general, you would see that 5th round often be a pivotal round for a lot of teams, because that's when you can buy the operator or the op for Counter-Strike. So when you can buy the op, that changes a lot of the team's dynamic, and it changes the way they play. You also can get a rifle with full utility. So a lot of times that'll be your swing point, assuming you don't convert on that 3rd round. Now, I will say this. In Valorant, it's easier to convert on that 3rd round. A lot of the times, the team who wins the pistol and the 2nd round, their money's not exactly fantastic coming into that 3rd round.
Yeah.
They're usually operating kind of in a bonus structure where you have SMGs in play. You might have a Bulldog or 2, maybe 1 or 2 guys on an actual rifle. But if you lose that round, your money is just trash. It's abysmal. So unless you survive with 5 in the pistol and in the 2nd round, that 3rd round can actually be really punishing for you if you're the team that won the first 2. Here, it doesn't happen to fish123, but they do end up losing in that 5th round. Now, they're going to go ahead and pop that rocket, and the rocket goes out, but it doesn't do any damage. He'll actually get hit by a dart as well, so Saoulcas is going to be moving back in towards U-Haul. Link's going to get flashed out as well. There's the ult being popped, the Hunter's Fury. Link's right around the corner. First one's going to be his, taken out immediately on the trade by Rhyme. I believe a pulse of that Hunter's Fury actually did some team damage as well, as they were in the line of sight. Spike trying to plant on the site, but the nades are coming in, delaying things, likely to take the port, and they do. So now it's up to the Cypher, Kryptix, who's already over on this B site. He's got the Cyber Cage going down. Tripwire gives away the position. First one's going to be his, can't line up the second. And the Rays with low HP, Hip able to survive a little while longer. Boombot going out to try and spot out those players on site. It's going to be coming around the corner, taken out by the player inside the tuna can. So they know where these last 2 players are, and it's an easy 1-2 punch from Saoulcas. It will be a 5th round for fish123. NIP, they may have opened that window a little bit, but it gets slammed shut as fish123 respond with another round of their own.
Yeah, this is rough. Rough looking here for NIP. But it's weird. You know, on Haven, fish123 were able to find 6 straight, and then out of nowhere, NIP just came in and really started to turn up the heat. And, you know, it is the attacker side that I think NIP prefer. It's the attacker side on buying that I think really works out well for them. Looking back to how they faced up against G2, they were able to put together... Actually, it was a 6-6 half against G2 on the attack, so... When we get over to that defensive side, maybe NIP will start to really shine again. But it's the same thing. The first half, not going well on Haven, but then they were able to turn it around. And so this might be the same case here. But I have a feeling that fish123 will be able to get a lot more rounds than we bargained for. Even better than what we saw on Haven. I don't expect to see a 6-6 half, because they just lost the gun round for NIP, which means that their economy is probably shot, or at least not in the greatest spot. Or dare I say, they've got weapons, so they'll find 2, open up the site, and now it's just down to 3 for fish123.
Yeah, you said their economy might be shot, or another word that starts with sh and ends with t. As it's going to be NIP, who somehow managed to get the spike down on the site. Saoulcas with the blast pack landing right in luckeRRR's lap. Fearoth has gotten around to the backside of elbow, and just like that, all of the pieces fall. And fish123 will pick up their 6th. So even though it was a promising post plant for a moment with a 3-on-3 and weapons picked up for NIP, it doesn't work out well. Now, I'm curious to see how much they spent to get into that round. We didn't see the economy coming into it. But with the spike plant, it might help balance out the cash just a little bit to allow them to buy up again. But fish123 off that agent swap, as much as we were like, okay, maybe not really sure what to expect. We've got Scream playing the Sage again. Saoulcas is on the Raze. Link's not playing the Sage. He's playing the Sova. It was a bit of a juggle of the roles. It seems to be working out for them. So I guess this was the move they should have made before that last map. Maybe it would have worked out better for them. Who knows?
Early look towards the B site, the side of NIP, and I don't really think they've got the weaponry. As you see a little bit of a force up. Judge in the hands of Hip. As they start to push forward, the rest of the defense will start to funnel through. As they've got 3 committed here. Op shots from Eccles not going to connect. It's a huge boost. Kryptix doesn't even know where he is. They're still trying to get those shots in, and now around the corner he'll go through the cyber cage. finding the shots he needs. That's 2 on the site already. They'll upgrade potentially to some new weaponry, but him, he needs to be careful. They'll start to come in. 1 shot's good. Looking for the second. Can't connect onto it. Eccles now pushing forward from the elbow. It's down to 2 here. Around the corner, shot won't connect, and now that'll be Rhyme that pushes him forward. And a weird round for NIP that they managed to push in, find the frags they need. And honestly, it was off the back of Hip, who went soaring through the sky and created an opportunity of space for his team to really push forward with the utility that they had set up, get that spike down, and not even really get into post-plant because Hip just found all the frags that he needed.
A bit of race kit ball being played by Hip there. He uses the blast packs to go up into the sky, and there's a cyber cage from the Cypher there on the site, and he lands right in the middle of it. A swish coming out from him as he goes for the alley-oop onto the site. I really like the movement. The shotgun works out well, and they gain access to the site. We mentioned it at times, you know, his play as Reyna was kind of but his play as Raze felt a lot stronger, and we're starting to maybe see some of that come through. It's been a bit of a rough start for NIP, so I can't really fault any one individual player for their performance currently. The team as a whole just isn't clicking.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll start to hit their stride here. I mean, it's possible we end up with another 6-6. Maybe we end up with another late half push coming in from NIP, and it all starts there. They have that showstopper ult, and they've got the Omen port, and we've seen how good CREA can just be with the regular ports, just stepping back behind enemy lines, using that port to get past tripwires, going inside of his own smokes, and then porting behind the opposite team, not expecting him to be in the positions he's in. So having that ult available for the intel gives them the ability to flex that weight even harder. On the opposite end, though, they do have the showstopper, they've got the neural theft, and they've got the Hunter's Fury.
Well, I mean, this was the point in the last map, 6-2, where NIP really started to turn it on, and after that round, you could feel the confidence starting to boom already. 2 kills traded away. ScreaMy, though, still a part of the conversation. We'll see how he decides to defend this A side. A boost up near the showers, as they will now start to look for a plant on to the A site, but actually they'll call the back away. They pull back here, and the call through connector. Ultimate from CREA will get him into the back of site, and he'll actually cancel it, just in case does not want to be too far behind enemy lines. Kryptix going to be the first contact point here. He'll pop his cyber cage as well. And ScreaM's still confused what's going on, as Kryptix and ScreaMy will tag team on opposite sides of the map. And no, it will not be in the cards for NIP to get that 3rd round. fish123 just continue their lead.
Saoulcas having a great first half. Not exactly a player we spend too much time talking about. It's not to say he's bad, just not necessarily a high-profile performer. Usually when you're looking at this team, you're talking about ScreaMy and you're talking about Eccles. Link at time has also stepped up as the Sage, but Saoulcas as the Raze. 10-2 right now coming in from him. Eccles 9-2 as the Omen. And the Up coming out as well here for fish123 in the hands of Eccles. Hip again with the shotgun. We saw it work well for them previously on the B site. Maybe it'll happen again. They've got a double push currently in the Octagon. They've got 2 players. Smoke going out, the dark cover sectioning off Hookah. Eccles is going to fall back towards spawn. If they were to smoke this out, that puts a lot of pressure on the 2 players currently pushed up on long over in Garden. And he's actually starting to rotate out as this utility gets sent out. Now he's finally going to change his position, but at this point, CREA's actually already made it onto the site. This could be a problem.
CREA, though, needs to be careful. Oh my god, he gets in there! CREA finds 2! He'll be traded away, and that's the showstopper sent over to Kryptix. What a round here from NIP. They find everything, and it all goes right. Saoulcas, the last member standing, 32 HP. It all happened at the drop of a dime. NIP, they work so well when they push as a unit. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes they walk in like lambs to the slaughter, but this time they were the shepherd and fish123 were the sheep as they push in, all the angles covered. But CREA, how does he get away with it, Bach? He just, like, Eccles was standing there with his pants down. He's like, how do I get him back up? And he just takes him out, but he finds 2 there. He finds 2. Great stuff coming out from CREA.
How many times have we seen him do that exact thing? And like, you just wonder, like you said, how does this consistently work? How is he constantly able to do that? This time, he's not porting behind anybody. He's porting right in front of him, and it still works. He still manages to find 2 as they take the site. And that's what you want to see from NIP. You can see it here. He ports in, somehow gets the first 2. Saoulcas was there with the trade. Here's the rocket as well over towards long. Did significant damage to the second target. Saoulcas was the only one that survived and tried to escape, but couldn't. Ended up falling in the showers. So it will be a 7-3. NIP trying to find 5 in their first half, make it manageable. If they continue to make plays like that with CREA constantly getting behind NIP, the enemy lines of fish123, if Hip can continue blast packing his way over top of the defense like he's done a couple of times now, it shouldn't be a problem for them to close out this half with the last 2 rounds.
You know, Myth is probably watching this stream right now and thinking, oh my goodness, how do I get to be like that guy? I'm even sitting scratching my head like, this is some inspiring Omen play. Inspiring Omen play that you just love to see. So moving on to the round at hand, still 2 more remain, and NIP do not want to let this get to 9-3. So hoping for another round for them. They do only have the Hunter's Fury available, which can get a lot done, but considering that there's nothing else left on the table, not exactly looking for a lot. On the opposite side, though, they've got the Hunter's Fury and Showstopper in the neural theft. Fearoth will use it here. Tags 1 in heaven, and it's Scream that pays the price. You know, I thought that Hunter's Fury might not get a lot done, but it does, and that'll open up the A site, but they've got that spike towards B, and they're going to start to push in. luckeRRR will find Kryptix. Eccles now taking a page out of CREA's book, but it's just really to push a little forward, using that operator at close range. Shots good onto luckeRRR, but they'll push him in above the tuna can. And now just down to Saoulcas, but he needs to turn around. Rhymes right behind him. Great round from NIP. Pretty textbook. They only lose luckeRRR really in the process. Now the res is available, and they are nearing the end of this first half.
NIP want to cap things off here with a round win. Thought we might see the 6-6, but it took them a little bit too long to get back into this game. They fumbled a few rounds away at times. A few opportunities that likely could have gone their direction. There was a post plant in a force buy not that long ago where they had a 3-on-3 and they'd picked up some serious weaponry. Even luckeRRR had the operator, and not a single one of those players even got a kill. All 3 players from the defense survived on the retake. It's rounds like that make you go, okay, guys, like, what happened here? Early kill coming out from luckeRRR, res immediately by Scream. So that early kill neutralized right off the bat.
I think fish123 do not want to let this round go away out of their hands. To be quite honest, it's the last round, so you might as well use all of your utility. And fish123 have a lot that they can use. Eccles, if he gets in a sticky situation, can use from the shadows, get to another site if he needs to. But so far, he's all on his lonesome here. Smoke going to be going down. They get the ult orb, and they hear that. I think that was in order to get the ult point there for Rhyme, as luckeRRR had already had it from that previous round. So Resurrection and Neural Theft available. We'll see what ends up happening. A great push already from Link as he's making his way from behind, as they will now start to funnel in towards this A site. I think they're a little indecisive, still biding their time, but they just want to be safe rather than sorry. Eccles going to use that ultimate finally to get out of position, or at least gather information. So far, it is still going to be the push forward. Scream is going to fall, luckeRRR as well, but Eccles in close right, making it painful for them to push forward. Now it's CREA that falls to Eccles, just the last line of defense here, not letting them forward while the rest of the team starts to rotate over. luckeRRR will eventually find him. Kryptix going to rotate through. That's the bait res, but the Bucky will get the job done and take out CREA. Still going to be time not enough for NIP to get that spike down. And it's the round on the board here for fish123. 8-4 the scoreline. And now NIP having the defensive side, the side that they are more comfortable with. If they do not win this pistol, it may be very difficult for them to close this one out.
So we were hopeful that we would see 5 rounds for NIP. It just doesn't come together. That round, they just got slowed down way too much on that push. They could not deal with Eccles, who was in that back corner with a bulldog of all things. And then even the Bucky chimes in as the ult gets popped by the Sova. So fish123, they may have lost a map that we thought they should win, but so it goes. Because that's exactly what we saw in some series yesterday, when teams were winning maps they shouldn't and losing maps they also shouldn't. The wall going up in mid allows luckeRRR to peek up over the top. They went for a triple peek, actually, as the Cypher and Omen peeked in front of and behind the wall. I like the setup. Rhyme's going to do great damage with the dink shot onto Sova. Can't finish off that damage, though, so the heal will come through from the Sage. You can see him already trying to come back towards the team, and there's the heal coming out. CREA pushing down long now after his team initially pushed into mid. Wants to do what his teammate did. Can't follow up on that initial damage, and yikes, it's not working out well here for NIP at all. That aggression over on long B, resulting in the death of 2. The Sage now trying to rotate over to support, but the Spike's already making its way onto the site.
Yeah, there's going to be paint shells thrown to that back corner to clear out behind the tuna can. luckeRRR, of course, already on the site. We do have a rotation coming in from Fearoth. He's back from hookah. Shock dart's going to try to do a little bit of damage, and I think they may have, but now the swing around the corner. Shot's going to be good through the tuna can. Eccles will fall still. A lot of members remaining for the push forward. It's the 4v3, and Fearoth isn't quite healthy. Recon both going to try to spot them out. The defuse will actually start to come through, and he cannot stick it as they will just shoot through the tuna can. Down to the 1v2. Fearoth can definitely get the job done here, but it's going to be difficult as he's looking in the wrong direction. Link finding that last and final frag. Whew. It's looking rough. This is a round that fish123 statistically should win unless NIP do decide to force up, which once we have a look at some of their weaponry, we will find out that answer if they do. And if they do, they can make it difficult for Fish to win this one out, but it's getting close. Not many rounds left for NIP to really let fish123 have.
If this map ends, I'm curious to see how that third and final map will go. Because we've had interesting turns of events on Ascent. So we've seen defense-sided halves. We've seen offense-sided halves. We've seen blowouts. We've seen close games. It's been a bit of a mixed bag. Ascent right now, very reminiscent to, say, like Vertigo for Counter-Strike. You never necessarily know what you're going to get. You have anticipations, but they don't always line up with reality. Scream, great peek coming out from the God-tier aimer with the Bulldog. It's an early kill coming in for fish123. NIP might lose another as the Sage tries to escape towards spawn. The peek doesn't come out from Eccles, though. And the Omen is actually on the back of site. They're starting to pull all of their resources away, and this is going to be a B hit. So the smoke comes through, the dark cover going into site. Saoulcas a little bit slow to jump through that dark cover in front of him. So that's allowed luckeRRR and CREA to get back into the site. CREA's inside the tuna can. luckeRRR's there on backside. There's the nade coming out. Gonna do significant damage. Can't even heal past it. The kill's piling up right now for fish123 as it falls down to 1. It's the Sova as the spike gets planted. It's Fearoth in spawn. Can't do much, and he'll be backing off of the play as well. Fish123 get easy site control. Fearoth looking to do some potential damage here. He's got himself a Bulldog, but he's only got 30 HP.
He did end up picking that up from Scream as he found that early pick in a short. And still, regardless of the round, they were able to find 2. Made it a little expensive. Fearoth wants to carry that Bulldog into the next round, and really I don't blame him a whole lot, but he might be looking for some of those portal pushes. And I like this play. He's anticipating a hop through, and that's exactly what will happen. Let's see if he finds the frag. He does! And now, oh no, the Phantom! No, he could not. Couldn't leave the doors open in time. That's unfortunate. But still, he made it expensive. They lost the Phantom. That is a huge buy. That is a huge buy from fish123.
But at the same point in time, it's 10 rounds. So fish123 is very close to closing this game out. Honestly, compared to the last game, this one feels almost a bit dull from NIP. We've seen 1 or 2 rounds that were a little bit exciting, strong pushes from them, promising looks. But fish123 has just dominated them. And even in the rounds that NIP has won, it hasn't felt like they were like, whoa, this is a great play from NIP. It kind of felt like fish123 made a few mistakes that resulted in the round going that direction. It's been fish123 in control since the get-go. You've got Scream going aggressive over on C long, firing up, looking for a cam. There is no camera in place. It is a 3-player defense currently on B. You've got Omen, Sage, and Cypher. 2 towards elbow and 1 back behind the tuna can on site. Ult orb control will be fish123's. And they do have the showstopper as a result. So they'll have that rocket that they can send out to try to open up one of the sites. If they were to lean back towards the A site, they would have the softer defense there with the Raze and the Sova. Only 2 players in position, and it does look like that's the direction they want to go. So Fearoth and Saoulcas going to have their work cut out for them. Or not Saoulcas. Who's playing the Raze for NIP?
It's Hip.
Hip, that's right. It's easy to mix them up.
Yeah. Yes. This would be a very rough round for NIP to lose. You know, they've got guns online. So far, picks haven't come through. It's the showstopper that is popped here by fish123, and it's going to land onto Fearoth. He still survives with 32, and even if he falls here, he manages to get the frag onto Scream, a crucial member out of the conversation now. And still, that spike going to end up going down. Wall, of course, still up. They will gather in lamps. Now, here comes the retake from the defense. They'll start to push forward. 2 members, of course, out for both teams, but we saw these boosts before. Now will we see them again from the side of NIP. These worked, but fish123 seem to have an answer. So far, a trade of kills. It's luckeRRR and Kryptix that'll find themselves a couple of kills, and now they will start to try to get this defuse going. CREA and Hip, they'll find 2. Kryptix still the last member standing here, and he will be dealt with by Rhyme. A great round for NIP, an expensive one. They lost a lot of weapons, but you don't want fish123 to have too many rounds, and so they're able to still keep things close. There's a long way to go still. 5 rounds to make it even, but fish123 are nearing the end, and so NIP need to be very, very careful and keep things up.
Life goes there.
NIP at least have the lead at 5. I guess that's silver lining right now. They only have to win 5. Could have been way worse at times, given how that first half was progressing. fish123 very much in the driver's seat right now. NIP just a passenger. Being towed along by fish123. But they're starting to fight back. Got Rhyme with his high camera over in the B site, spying down, looking for anyone making their way out. We've seen this positioning from him before. There's 3 players yet again on the site. Same positioning we've seen time and time again from NIP on this defense. You've got Cypher back behind the tuna can and 2 over towards elbow. They start working their way in. And you've got luckeRRR around the corner as the Sage. They're going to go ahead and go for a wall boost over top of the cyber cage, and they'll actually be able to pick one off. That Scream going down. That's a huge loss. There's the ult coming out towards that direction, but it doesn't do much. As it's Saoulcas who pushes in towards spawn, picks off Hip. The spike will be planted. Port coming out from CREA. We've seen him do this before. And it looked like he was going to potentially go for a second port, but decided to change his mind. As the spike continues to tick away, there's the ult coming out from the Omen, and uh-oh. Fearoth gets caught going for the owl drone, so he doesn't even have a chance to stop that. The backstab works out oh so nicely. It's all up to CREA. Dink shot comes out from the Bulldog. But fish123, they lose 1, and they bring it right on back.
So you're telling me that there's a chance that we experience the same thing that we did with fish123 against the Party Parrots. Party Parrots, they lose the map that they pick. fish123 lose the map that they pick. And it feels like we're getting there. Of course, that was a very expensive round for NIP. We saw a lot of weapons that they brought to the table, and so looking towards what they have now, I don't think they've got a whole lot. fish123, of course, their economy's fine. They're chilling. They've got everything that they want. But they actually do have some weapons, so we'll see what they end up doing with them. So far, it's Fearoth that finds himself returning to the graveyard, and Scream now having to back away as he's zoned out by the paint shells. But for the side of NIP, not a lot of utility on the board, not a lot of armor. How will that end up voting for them as fish123 are looking for information? So far caught up in the market, but now looking to commit to a push.
Aldrone giving them the intel on the site. It's pretty much open. You've got Hip, who's pushed in showers. You've got CREA here trying to support. Paranoia goes towards the default plant spot for that side. It's become what I would call like the new default, as teams don't really plant in the old default right in front of the APC. CREA, though, didn't feel content to push. Looked like he wanted to port up on top of the truck, decides not to. Nade coming down right in front of CREA, so that'll push him back for the time being. Again, you've still got the raise here, but it's been a slow flank coming out from the Cypher through the showers. The timing will be everything for him. Hip gets the first one on the pick. Rhyme gonna find one more, but there's Kryptix. That late backstab that we talked about, taking a while to come through from the showers. Link and Scream get two in the end. It will be round number 12 on the board for fish123. NIP struggling here in map number 2. It looks like we're going to be going to Ascent.
There's a chance that NIP can make a huge comeback. That's 7 rounds that they have to win back to back to back to back to back. Yes, along the way, there could be some pistols. There could be some ecos for fish123, but judging by the weaponry on the opposite side, stingers, judges, good luck, NIP. There's not a whole lot that you can do in this instance. You don't even really have the Hunter's Fury or the Showstopper to make ecos worthwhile. In some cases, ultimates will be used on the eco because they can do so much damage, right? So far, not really good, but we've seen NIP work with a lot with a little. Early on, that's going to be one judge kill for Hip, looking for that second, but Link he checks and pre-fires correctly. So far, the 1-for-1 trade, and let's see how the rest of the round pans out.
CREA with the informational ult. Doesn't spot anything. Cancels it. The Spike currently moving towards short. And there's only one there on the defense. It's Sova. And he's feeling mighty lonely at the moment. Fearoth with just a stinger. Now he has the owl drone still. He has the shock darts as well. There's the res coming through onto Eccles. There's the peak coming out, and the stinger's not really going to work that well against that many targets at that distance. Sight's been lost. The ult's going to get popped as well. The neural theft going to give away the positions of the remaining 3. They know that Sage is here alone, trying to come through from the vents. So that position is going to be held by Saoulcas as luckeRRR tries to get in. Nice blast pack boost up into heaven. luckeRRR goes for the peek out. Hello? Saoulcas going to be fine-tuning the rifle after that duel. The pistol work for Rhyme is equally as confusing. The SMG comes out. Dink shot followed up by a second dink to make sure that the kill is finalized. But 13-5. fish123 obliterate NIP on